Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
Hey guys, Mike and John with Coffee and the Bull. I want to say thank you all for taking a moment out of your day this week to listen to our episode. In case you did not know what was going on in the world today, we're going to do current events. This week is Christmas week. So
Merry Christmas.
If you haven't bought presents for your wife, go do that now. Stop what you're doing.
We're not buying each other
listening.
anything.
You don't even need to listen to this on the way to the store. You need to stop what you're doing and go buy the presents now. Because even though she says she doesn't want anything, or hey, we're good this week. This year we'll buy for everybody else. Buy her a Christmas gift.
Mike's history has proven.
I've learned from experience. So definitely go do that. If you haven't bought anything for your parents or whoever else, make sure you do that. Give them a little something. Something to say. Hey, I appreciate what you've done in my life. So that being said,
throw them for a loop. Get the onesie.
Yeah, got a bear onesie over here. So what we're going to do, and Coffee and the Bull got their first two gifts, first two presents, Christmas presents this year. We'll see what happens next year. But this year, my wife, Brittany, decided she's going to buy Christmas gifts for the podcast. I have no idea what they are. She bought them when I wasn't there, and she wrapped them when I wasn't there. So we're going to see what happens. So, John, if you want to pick, you want the big box or the little box?
I'll take the little box. I feel like that's the safer one. It's kind of got some weight to it for being a little box.
Yeah, you can open that one. And one thing I like about Christmas, man, is I think not knowing what's in the box adds a little bit of mystery. Goes a long way to make it exciting,
Okay, so I can't see what this is.
You can't see or can't say?
I can't see.
Okay.
But it's got a barcode.
It's got a barcode.
If this is a bar of soap, I'm going to talk some trash.
Why would it be?
I don't know. That was my first thought. I was like, she got a soap. What did she wrap this with?
It's called paper. Wrapping paper. Yeah.
This is a wacky waving inflatable tube guy.
Wait a minute, what?
That's what it says. Wacky waving inflatable tube guy. I've got to see this thing.
You just throw that off to the side. So why are you trying to figure that out?
Yeah, you open yours.
Yeah.
Oh God. She messed up. She didn't take the price tag off.
She did tell me that. She said I didn't take any of the price tags off. So
if you happen to own the wacky waving inflatable tube guy mini, let us know. We're gonna have one.
I got a box of totally embarrassing dad jokes.
Yes, I see. I knew.
Man, you know what?
We're
gonna start this off right.
I could not have gone right with my choice of the
you
packages.
definitely chose a good one.
He's got the worst dad jokes ever. Mine aren't
they're
as good.
solid quality dad jokes. But you know what we can do? We'll have the first episode of dad jokes.
All right, you get the dad joke ready. I'll get wacky wavy. Why? Okay, people that work in packaging. This is.
What did the man say while he was reversing his car? This takes me back.
My brain went, back it up, Terry.
What's E.T. short for?
Oh, snakes.
He's got little legs.
That's what it's short for?
That's why he's short.
Okay, so this device has some... Wait, is there a plug somewhere that I missed?
I feel like, he's got a plug in somewhere.
Typical Christmas drama.
So, guys, if normally we do this at the end of the episode. If you do not like the fact that she gave us a wacky inflatable guy, or that she gave us dad jokes that you now get to listen to, send some hate mail. coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com. Let us know, and I will make sure. I will personally guarantee that it makes it to Brittany, and I will say it as mean or as nice as you want. So we'll start it. You ready for the first 3 dad jokes?
Hold on. I need to get some batteries real fast.
All right, so while he gets up and goes get his batteries, we're going to do some dad jokes.
I'm so glad I'm going to get spared from that.
Oh, I can wait. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to hit pause and wait for him to come back. So,
not even going to pause. I'll just edit that out. All right, let's see what this does. Let's see if this plug even works, because I don't know.
Don't pull.
All right, I think I got enough. We can do this.
All right.
Yeah, can you reach it? No. Don't poo. Don't poo. That's what he yelled at me. All right. Inflatable arm man is down. Next to the...
Did something just... Yeah, your light just shone.
You just hit that the back cord. There you go. I don't think that plug works. I've tried to plug something else in there before and it didn't work.
Yep. Technical difficulties.
This is so frustrating.
All right. Oh, here. I'm going to do the coffee pot, which I feel like is sacrilegious, but I feel like your plug doesn't work. Remember how it said you needed batteries? Is there an on switch?
Yeah.
Oh, stupid. You're so stupid. Well, so the issue with the inflatable guy is that's going to create a bunch of noise.
Terrible noise.
Yeah.
So here he is. He's on the table. He's free to go. He's getting a little wild. All right. I think he's definitely affecting the mics. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that died.
Yeah. So, well, you know what didn't die? The sense of humor here at Coffee and the Bull. So, what we'll do, we'll ask you a question. If you can give me an answer for the listeners at home, because they would be dying to hear these jokes, but I need your participation. What happened when the man ate the clownfish? You're never going to get that. You ready? You ready? He felt funny.
Tis the season.
Look,
That's why I'm letting him get away
like
with this.
Night at the Apollo or something like that. Whatever comedy club. The Funny Bone. There we go. We'll go with that one. What did the cheese say to the other cheese when they got stuck in the mud?
Just spinning our cheese wheel.
We got to get through this. You wanted to laugh on that one.
These are worse than his normal dad jokes.
We're doing nothing but these on TikTok. Why did this kitten sit on the photocopier?
To be a
They
copycat?
wanted to be a copycat.
You threw a softball. You threw a
Yeah, it was
softball.
softball. So all right. So now we got the gifts out of the way, and so again, if you want to send some hate mail to Brittany, I will make sure she gets it.
Yes.
coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com. We'll be more than happy to forward your hate mail, and we'll address her response. So, because we're kind of in the same boat you are. So
That was brutal. God.
So let's, John, if you want to start it off. What do you like about Christmas?
So that would depend. So as a kid, I loved the presents, and like I was never, as much as our parents tried
I think
to.
every kid loves presents.
Right. I don't. I know my parents tried really hard to make it like a family oriented, type of bonding type thing or whatever, family
As a
traditions.
kid, you just don't care about that.
I don't
You
care.
you just want
I
the
just
gift.
wanted the presents. But one thing that I remember was like our Santa ate honey buns and he drank Pepsi.
Is that also what Bill drank?
That's
and ate?
that's what my daddy used to eat and drink.
That's a weird coincidence.
Right.
What's the likelihood that both Santa and Bill
Right. Weird.
ate and drank the same thing?
So I remember we were in Germany and I was a little kid, that's where Daddy was stationed, and we're sitting out there. I remember we gotta put out cookies and milk, and my mom going, got a letter from Santa. He wants honey buns and Pepsi this year.
Your mom sounded like she was from Fargo.
Right.
Got a letter from Santa?
Yeah, she was from Fargo. No, she wasn't. She actually, as crazy as this is, she was born in Baton Rouge.
Don't you lie.
Yeah, not from Louisiana at all. My
Right.
my granddaddy was
They were
stationed
driving
at
to
Shreveport.
like a road trip or something.
Or not
and gave
Shreveport,
birth?
Shriver.
Hmm.
Oh wait, no, that's Colorado. What's the base down here? I can't remember. Elgin? But I don't think he was at
I wasn't in the
Elgin.
military.
Anyway, granddaddy was in the Air Force. He was stationed down here, and that's why my mama was born in Baton Rouge. But not a Louisiana bone in her body. But yeah, so that's what Santa got that year was honey buns and Pepsi. But my favorite thing now is trying to keep the magic alive. Daughter was harping about the elf on the shelf thing, so we're gonna try that this year, see how that goes.
She was telling me about the elf. She said the elf hadn't moved.
So I made a mistake, and when I got the elf, I didn't open the box and look at the elf.
Mm-hmm.
My my elf's a little south of the border.
Okay.
So the elves on the shelf, they've created them to have different nationalities and ethnicities. It doesn't specify, it just says boy or girl. Well, I didn't open it up and look, and so we're sitting here, we're making, you got to name your elf, and that's part of the process with it. And my son, he's being a typical 8-year-old boy, and he's, let's name him Booger Britches, and
Right.
stuff like that. And my daughter, she's like, no. And I was like, let's name him, because we have a thing with boogers and chimichangas. I don't know what it is about it, but those are the two things that my kids and I go through. And so I rattle off that name, and I was like, how about Paco Taco? And she, with the most sincerest little 6-year-old sweetness, goes, he looks like a Miguel, but he's dressed like an elf. And I was like, oh, God. I couldn't stop.
Yeah, just like that, we're getting canceled.
Yes.
So, to get us back on track, people really hate cheesy puns.
Yeah.
But I'm quite fondue of them.
Stop reading the dad jokes. Stop it. Put the cards down.
I can't help it.
You created this monster, Brittany. No, I go to extremes with Christmas, though. Like, I will have fake snow. I will have, reindeer food. And I remember one year, my older daughter, Maddie, we were in Arizona. And it was crazy because it frosted.
Mm-hmm.
Like that night, which for Phoenix, Arizona, that's unheard of. There's just this light frost that had come out, and we had thrown hay and straw and cheese balls, and I let them put whatever they wanted on the plate for the reindeer food, and so we put it out in nice little piles. Well, when they passed out, I go out there and I throw it all out, and I make it look like the reindeer have just destroyed it. And I took Raisinets and I tossed them out in like piles, like reindeer poop. So the next morning we get up, and I'm up before them, and they bust in the door like, Dad, the Santa came, and we open the window because from the second floor of the house you could see out onto the part of the roof where I'd put all the reindeer food. And I had Raisinets in my pocket. So I get out and I'm like, they ate all this food. They just crapped all over my roof. And I'm making this big deal, and the kids are loving it, And I was like, that's so weird. And poor little Maddie, she was probably like 5 at the time. She's like, what, Daddy, what? And I was like, this poop looks funny. It doesn't look like normal reindeer poop. And she goes, how do you know what reindeer poop looks like? So I pulled a handful of the Raisinets out of my pocket, and I was like, And I just threw a handful in my mouth, and I was like, they poop candy! The faces those two kids made. Just, my son and my daughter both just staring at me in utter disgust. It's like I walk up to them, like, you guys want to try it? And my little Maddie, she's, no, that's poop, Dad. We don't eat poop. We don't eat the poop.
We're not poor.
I'm like, but no, you don't understand. It's awesome. It's just like candy. And she goes, that's poop. That was the moment I realized you can take the magic too far. You can.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what happened.
Yeah, she still tells that story though to my other two kids now about don't let Daddy eat the reindeer poop this year. And obviously she knows Santa's. Santa.
I remember growing up and my dad had saved up and got us a go-kart, old, I forget the name of the brand, had a little 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton on the back of it. Right. And for us, again, we grew up poor, and he was supporting a very large family on a very small salary.
Right.
And he bought us a go-kart one year. And I remember, we were head over, like just excited, ready to go. We're about to, drive this thing, for 6 years.
Right, the wheels gonna fall off.
And I remember he pulls it out of the shed that it was in, pushes it out into the driveway, and I don't know, so a lot of Louisiana Christmases are very, it's very muggy and humid. Like, we're still walking around in shorts and T-shirts.
Right.
This was not one of those Christmases, okay? This was one of the Christmases where it was your stereotypical cold as balls.
Right.
It wasn't snowing because it's still Louisiana, but it's just got that chill in there that goes whoo, whoo.
Right.
Like it is freezing cold. And so we're all out there. I mean, nobody. You're in pajamas and a jacket, so a lot of good. That's really doing you.
Right, right.
Your legs are cold. My dad's in shorts and a white T-shirt, because he's like, I don't need no jacket. And you're thinking, and to be fair, this is where my dad's not necessarily the smartest man, because he also didn't realize, hey, you're still pulling on a Briggs and Stratton,
Right.
So it's cold. He's sitting there, and this man, I'm talking about, he had to have pulled the pull cord for that motor 1,000 times.
Right,
And it just
right.
sit there. Whoa, 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 whoa,
And
whoa,
you know
whoa.
at time 5 as a kid, you're like...
It would not. And, he's sitting there. He's trying to choke. He pulls a little choke lever or whatever, pushes it back in and does everything. Surprisingly, if you curse at a Briggs and Stratton motor, it doesn't work any more than it was beforehand. Like it's got
Maybe
the
even
ears
worse.
of a woman. You better not talk bad about
Right,
it, because she's going to be mad. And I remember he's the excitement that he had, because he had, in his mind, it
Right.
was going to happen real quick, and the kids are going to be driving around, and then he'll walk back in, grab his coffee or whatever, and he's just sitting there almost throwing his back out, trying to get this thing to crank. And and that's when my mom, bless her heart, and for those of y'all not from the South, when you say bless your heart is not a good thing. She said probably the dumbest thing that a wife can say in that situation, as he's in the middle of, pull number 45 or whatever, his elbows hurting and everything else, and he's trying his best not to lose his mind on everybody. Does it have gas in it? Like, you come on now. Like, she meant good. She meant good. She really did. But it was not the time to be asking that.
Right, right,
and,
right.
I don't. And to this day, I don't remember. I don't know if maybe I trauma blocked it out or what. Or whatever it is. But I don't remember if it had gas in it or not. I just know that, man, when it finally cranked, it was, you did not get off of it. Like,
Right.
that man
right.
worked hard enough to get it to
Right.
crank. He worked hard enough to get it to crank, and now it's no. You're going to be out there. He don't care if you get
You're going to ride
frostbite.
this till his back stops
Right.
hurting. Yeah.
When that gas tank empties out, that's when you can come inside. But right now, you got the little frost sickles on your lips.
What's crazy to me is as a dad now and as a little kid then, I have two Christmases that stand out in my mind. And obviously I've had dozens of Christmases. But I have two that I will always remember and tell the story. And one of them was when I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9. And I only know the time frame because I can reference like people dying in my life to like know that like this time frame was before I was 10 because my dad was still an over-the-road truck driver. And for those of you that don't know, your truck drivers, they sacrifice a lot. Those dudes are out for 3 weeks to 4 weeks. They get home, they get 3 to 4 days at home, and then they're back on the road. So they're making good money, or they were back then.
Well, they've also got to have a lot of patience, man. Because you look
Right,
at
right.
how mad do you get when you hit traffic?
Oh, right.
And you're either in a car or an SUV, or a pickup truck or whatever, and you can kind of skate by,
Right,
maneuver
right.
or whatever. But when you factor in how much stress those guys have got to deal with, like,
Yeah.
I would lose my mind if I was in one of those
And
seats.
and it ain't like the 90s when I was growing up when they didn't have all the logs and the time trackers and everything else that they do now, where those guys can only drive to 8 hours or so a
Right.
day, and then you're mandatory down or you get penalized and fined and everything else. Back then Daddy could say, hey, look, I'm here, but I'm gonna cut some corners, I'm gonna try to get here, and I'm gonna burn the midnight oil and get home. And so this Christmas was particularly special because he wasn't supposed to be home for Christmas, and at some point this man had made it in on Christmas Eve with that diesel and a big Kenworth, parks it in front of the house and doesn't wake us up, takes my mother at midnight to the mall. And this is why it's one of my favorites, because my daddy is not that sentimental guy. He's not the I love you, I'm proud of you. That's just not in his nature. At midnight, he takes my mom to the mall because all I wanted that
Sure,
year.
it was midnight. I feel like midnight it was shut. It was closed.
No, that's the story that my mama told, and if there's one thing that woman wasn't, it was a liar. So, my daddy is a massive, ginormous dude, and my mother was not. She's like 5'2", just There's this little lady. In fairness, she was as wide as she was tall. Keep it real. But she's a big girl, a sturdy gal, as they say.
Sturdy gal.
Yeah. So they get to the mall, and as they're walking in the door, my mama looks up at my daddy and says, "Bill, no matter what we do in here, don't embarrass me." At which point they walk through the double doors, the first set, and my daddy drops down to his knees, which should have put him about eye level with my mom, and starts at the top of his lungs. "Mom, take me to the toy store. Mama, take me to the toy store." To which my mother said, "Bill, get up." Wraps his arms around her legs. "Please take me to the toy store." And my mom is now smacking him, just top of his head, popping him. "Bill, get up. You are embarrassing me." My father picks this woman up and carries her to the toy store so that he could buy me a train and for Christmas, and it like, I don't even know why I wanted the train.
Right.
I don't know where it came from. I've never been like fascinated with trains. Like it's just that year I wanted a train, and that man came in on Christmas Eve, got me the train. And the other Christmas was one shortly before she passed. And again, we grew up poor. We big family, a lot of kids. And it wasn't a lot of money for everybody. But my mom would go out of her way to make sure that everybody had the same amount of presents, or like time-wise, the amount of time you would spend opening a present is the same amount of time other people would open their presents.
Okay.
And this woman took a box of Legos with 500 Legos in it. And it came divided up in the single bricks, the double bricks, the triple bricks, and all that. So she wrapped the packaging up and then wrapped the entire Lego box up. So it's like you open the box, like, Legos, and then you open it up and it's all individual wrapped packages. I'm like, I know I got cheated here.
Right.
But at the same time, like the dedication that it took to wrap it up. And so I take that and I put that same effort and energy into these kids and their Christmas, and making sure that I can hold on to the magic for as long as they believe in it.
Right.
And that as a dad, I have more Christmas memories with my dad than I do with my mom. Like, that stand out. You know what I mean? Like the things that are special, they kind of stick more with me and my dad than with my mom. And I don't know if that's because mom's more focused on making sure everything's right, and dad's just, I want to have fun. I want to, dude went out and bought me a 4x8 sheet of plywood that same Christmas for my train set. You know what I mean? Like he's like, "We got to go to Home Depot because we got to build a train stand, and we got to get the stuff so we can build the town." And I'm like, clearly you wanted this train more than I did.
Right.
So I don't know. What is your favorite childhood memory from Christmas besides golf carts, go-karts?
I don't know. It's your it's all basic childhood memories.
Right.
I don't remember hardly any of the gifts were, because honestly it didn't matter.
Right.
We were having fun. Like most kids, there's not a kid out there who's just like, "I don't want the gifts. I just want to spend time with my family." No, kids like gifts. That's just nature of the beast. It doesn't make them shallow. It doesn't make them horrible people or anything like that. That's what kids like.
Right.
But also at the same time, I don't remember what a lot of those gifts were. And I'm pretty sure if my I give it 5 or 6 years and I ask my son what he got for Christmas this year, he's not going to remember.
Right.
But he remembers who was there, and that's kind of the thing is you kind of build those memories. But that's one of the things I like about Christmas is it's kind of, and I don't want to say a magical time, but you have a lot of people go out of their way to make Christmas good for other people.
Right.
Like we see it at work. A lot of sheriff's offices and stuff, and local police departments, they'll do toy drives or Christmas crusades, things like that, where they people donate to give back to the community. People that they don't even know where it's all going. They don't know who the family is or whatever. You see, the GoFundMe's. There's always a family that needs help. They either lost their house or whatever, and people give to that.
Right.
And it's not I worked at an event the other day, and and this guy goes into the store, comes back out, and he got 3 or 4 presents that he bought in the store, walked over, here you go. And then I'm not talking about cheap presents,
Right.
and because you got some people, hey, they can give $5, and that's a big deal, asking them for $5. Some people can give a couple $100, but you tend to see a lot of people, especially around Christmas time, they want kids to have that magical moment.
Right.
As adults, we don't. It could be another day to us. It could not be. It could. I've got some friends who they hate Christmas, and they do so not because they're Grinches. They do so because, hey, there's it reminds them of a time of loss, or it reminds them of some heartache back when they were a kid when things didn't happen, and things like that. I've got other friends who, man, they absolutely love Christmas like that. They've got 3 and 4 Christmas trees in their house. They're just excited, and neither one of those two options are wrong.
Right.
Because they're both responding to what they've got in their life. But I think what I like about adults is typically we don't mind. We know the weight that comes with that being a magical time for kids, and that's why, like, I like I like that my son is into Santa Claus and all this other stuff, and I'm not I'm not downplaying people who don't do Santa Claus or any of this other stuff. That's what we grew up with, and that's what I pass on to him. I like watching the old Grinch movies, the old reindeer movies and stuff, or Rudolph. The red-nosed reindeer and all this other stuff. Like, I enjoy things like that. I enjoy sitting in the house drinking hot chocolate, even though it's 76 degrees outside.
Right.
And so it's one of the things where there's certain Christmas things that you do, and you don't really care, if everything's not perfect, because you enjoy doing it with your family and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to develop that for my son. But when it comes to, like, my personal favorite childhood memory or whatever, I don't know that I necessarily have one that's stands out more than the other. I'm not not downplay or casting any shade that direction. Just right off the top of my head, I can't. I don't have one.
It's one thing that I know, like with Thanksgiving, we talked about Friendsgiving and how stupid I thought that was. Mm-hmm. And I just saw a post the other day about Friendsmas, and I'm like, okay, you guys are going out of hand with this. Just call it a Christmas party or whatever, Right. But I saw something that at first, and I'm being honest here, the first time I saw it, I thought, that's the stupidest thing ever. But after I thought about it, there was some genuineness to it that made a lot of sense. And it was, stop telling your kids that the Xbox, the PlayStation, the basketball hoop, the iPads, and all that are from Santa. Because there's other kids out there that can't... their Santa doesn't have that income. And at first I thought, no, that's stupid. That's dumb as hell. And then I got to thinking about, the area that I live in. It's a good mix of higher income, lower income, middle income families. Right. And it actually made sense to me that, there are families who are struggling to put clothes on their kids' backs and food on the table, and they're going broke for Christmas to try to give their kid the best that they can. Right. What does it hurt to say, hey, mom and dad got this? And so last year, that was my thing is, my son got a PlayStation 5. And that was something that at the time I should not have bought. I knew financially I was not in a position to buy it. But it was one of those things where I'm doing everything I can because I don't know if next year I'm going to be able to afford this Christmas. And I made sure that he knew, like, hey, this is from Dad. This is, Santa got a book and Santa got some pajamas and stuff like that, so that they could still go to school and, oh, I got this and I got this and I got this, but at the same time, that little boy or little girl who didn't get that fancy high dollar item didn't feel like, oh, maybe I wasn't good enough that Santa didn't bring me this. Right.
The thing is, the kid's going to go to school and he's still going to brag about
no matter what,
about the whatever the big gift is or whatever. But it's something to just make another kid not feel that they're not welcome. I get it, because I kind of had the same response too. I was like, oh, whatever, that's on you. Right. But no, it does make a lot of sense, and like you said, it doesn't hurt or anything like that. And so we try to we don't go too overboard with our son. Like obviously we get him things. I say that every year we plan not to, and we have.
Right.
Like we've gotten one year he got this massive table with this block town that he could build
Oh,
train
yeah,
track
yeah.
and all kinds of other stuff, and it was like you took up half the living room for this thing. Like yeah, we got it. Whether it be got a good deal on it or whatever. Like financially, it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was like you took half the house, kid.
Right.
But I always like enjoy watching the stories. My brother had one, but I like watching the stories where like you see dad spend all night,
Right.
building the dollhouse.
Right.
And it's when I say all night, like 6 or 7 hours to
Yeah.
put this thing together. It's just this big monstrosity that he's just got all these the hopes and dreams. She's going to be playing with, or
Right.
or whatever. And you got the male counterpart to it, for sons, but. The daughter walks in and sees it, goes, "Yay!" And that's it.
Right.
And then it's just
Yeah.
like just destroyed. It's like I just spent all this time.
Right.
I always enjoy. I haven't had one of those yet, so I guess maybe that's why I enjoy it. It may, that may be something that they can email about and say, "Hey, it's not that funny, Mike."
Right. Right. You spend hours on a dollhouse.
Yeah. So it's one of the things I don't. What I don't like is. Obviously, not to beat a dead horse or get on a soapbox. I don't like the commercialization of everything. Like,
Yeah.
man, you get fed, Christmas ads since before Halloween, and
Right,
it's,
right.
buying this or buying that, and what I don't get, and maybe somebody can shed some light on this, is the car commercials. Like
Right, right.
slap a bow on a sports car or whatever, and you give it to your wife. And I'm like, if I was to take and buy a car and bring it home and be like, ha, surprise, babe, here you go. We're going to have the biggest fight in the history of fights. Because it's like, why did you spend, $30, $40, $60,000 on a car?
Right.
We can't afford a car. But I was thinking of you. They gave me two,
Right.
It's surprisingly, they'll sell you two.
You wouldn't believe the interest rate we got. It's
Right.
under 30%.
Right. It's always laugh at that because I just think it's ridiculous. But it's one of the things where it comes with it. I get stores are trying to make money. People are trying to grow their business. It is what it is. But I don't like that. Sometimes I feel like it goes a little far where that's all it winds up being, and that's why you see like Black Friday and stuff like that. People used to get in fights. So now I don't think it's so much because most of it's online because we don't like driving anywhere.
Right.
And dealing with crowds, but I think there's sometimes that's all it becomes. It just you go somewhere expecting a gift. As a kid, it's okay. As an adult, if you walk to my house, you're like, "Hey, where's my Christmas gift, bro?" Like I get like
You were welcomed in the door.
yeah,
Merry
And
Christmas.
so, but I've also had the times where especially when me and my wife first set out in our marriage. We didn't have kids, and we bought for all the nieces and nephews, and because I come from a big family, there's a bunch of nieces, a bunch of nephews.
Yeah,
and,
you do got a big
and
family.
everything else, and it's like, okay, so I'm not complaining about that, but then this person bought something, so we had to buy something for them, and this one bought something, and so it just wound up becoming. By the end of it, we're like, holy crap, man! And that's why we had the conversation a couple years in a row where it's like, let's just not buy for each other because we were buying for other people. Well, I was misplaced on my part, But I think sometimes it puts you in a big financial burden that you got to hey, now I'm going to have to go work some overtime. The Christmas day that I was going to try to enjoy off, I got to spend that money now on paying off the credit cards that I use to go buy all these gifts.
I got a car for Christmas one time.
A car?
Yeah, and it was the best and worst Christmas present I'd ever gotten in my life. And I'm pretty sure I've told you at some point that a friend of mine in high school actually used this story to win free tickets to a country music concert. So it was the Christmas right after my mom had passed away, and my dad was trying his best to make it better for my sister and I.
Right.
And so, it's Christmas morning, and at this point my dad is, he's kind of moved on. I've got she became my stepmom later on, and she's got 2 kids. So it's 4 of us waking up. I'm the oldest at this point, still in the house, and get out, and and typically growing up, the oldest always went last, or the oldest was the one that would hand out the gifts or something like that, because at that point, you know Santa's not real. And so I'm sitting on this couch, and
I did not approve of him saying that, so sorry in advance.
I apologize. Don't listen with kids in the car. I got nothing. First off, you're listening with kids in the car when nurses are talking. That's on you. Yeah. That's know we shouldn't be on speakerphone.
If you're an adult and this is news to you, I apologize, but it's somebody had to tell you.
Right. So I'm sitting on the couch and I'm watching my kid sister, my stepbrother, my stepsister. They're opening presents, and I mean they're opening a lot of presents. And Dad went all out that year. I'll tell you right now, that was our biggest Christmas ever, and Mm-hmm. Dad was doing his best. So after about 20 or 30 minutes, I start to realize I ain't opened the first damn thing, and presents are starting to run out under that tree. So I'm kind of looking around, and I'm not saying anything, and I look over at him, and he's got this big grin on his face, and I see him every now and then side-eye me, and I'm like, what is going on?
Oh man, I'm about to poke your eye out,
bro. And I'm getting madder.
More time.
I'm getting madder and madder.
But you're trying to mask it.
Oh yeah, because I'm
you
like,
don't want to be that kid.
Right. I don't want to come off ungrateful right off the bat. Like maybe, and I'm thinking in my head like in my life.
Such a weird thing. Like I'm ungrateful for not getting a present.
Right. So all the presents are done, and I'm like, okay, all right, well, all right.
This is the year I burned the house down.
Right. If you were wondering if I was moving out anytime
this
soon.
Day.
Right. So he's
kneel before John.
Right. Throwing trees out windows and stuff. So he gets up and he goes, you like your present? And I was like, think you're funny, don't you, old man? And he goes, it's in the top of the tree. So I get up and I go look at the tree, and I'm looking. I don't see anything. He goes, look between the branches. I'm like, Dad, it's a 6-foot tree. Not much of this tree I haven't looked at. Like, there's nothing in here. And so he walks over and he kind of tilts the angel back, and he reaches up and he pulls out, and I'm talking about this tiny little box. And he hands it to me, and I went, that's it?
Jewelry.
Yeah,
necklace.
This is what you got me? You got. I'm stepping over presents to get to this little dinky box, And I open it up, and it's got 2 rusty keys in it. So those of you that don't know, vehicles back in the day took 2 keys.
Mm-hmm. One for the door, one for the...
Round key was the door, square key for the ignition. So if you were blind, you didn't mess that up. So he goes, look out the front door. So I open the front door, and there is a 1976 rust orange, not the color it was painted at the factory. I thought you lit something on fire for a second.
Almost
it is
the dad joke box.
It is literally covered in rust because Colorado salts their roads. And I look at this heap of truck, and it came from a neighbor. He'd bought it from our neighbor. Our neighbor was named Moose. He was one of few men that I knew could look my daddy in the eye. And he bought it from them. And he leans down, and I don't know if I should be happy that this is my first vehicle or that I should be unhappy that this is my first vehicle, because this thing does not look good. It's not a pretty truck, nothing.
Right.
He leans down, and in my ear goes, Merry Christmas, boy. You owe me $1,000. And I'm like, you paid for that? And I can see in his face, like, I've just cut him. I've cut that dude with a hot butter knife. And he goes, yeah, how you think I got it? And I was like, it looks priceless, Dad. So I go out single cab.
Making memories.
Right. I go out there single cab. This is December in Colorado. He goes, fire it up. I'll tell you what doesn't fire up.
Wait. Remember that Briggs and Stratton?
Right.
Wait.
So I'm out in this truck, and I'm just click. I'm like, Daddy, it's not going to start. Pump the gas pedal 3 times. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. So I pump it 3 times, and I crank it, and and I see Moose looking over the fence, because he's a big dude,
You didn't realize there was an order of operations to get this old rust bucket
so
going.
He comes over, and he opens the door, and he goes, you got the heater turned on? I was like, of course the heater is turned on.
Snowing.
It's December in Colorado. And he goes, turn the heater off. So I reach over and this isn't no dials, okay? There's no dials on this. This is the lever that slides back and forth. So I slide it to the middle to be off, and he goes, no, to air conditioning. I said, it is December, and he goes, put it on air conditioning. So I slide it all the way over. Turned out air conditioning didn't work in this truck. Soon as it went over, he goes, go ahead, turn it now. How many times did you hit the gas pedal? I said 3 times. He goes, one more. I hit it one more time. Fires right up, and it's not like this healthy fire up. It's like a. He looks at my dad and he goes, "Just carb, be all right." And he goes back to his house, and
Right.
my dad just big grin on his face, and I was like, all right, turn the radio on. Radio didn't work. He goes, don't worry, I got your radio in the truck. Goes over to his pickup, which at the time, this is 2002. It's a brand new F-250, and I'm like, okay, all right, this is where we're at. So he brings me over this Explode radio, Sony Explode,
Right.
that does not fit.
I had the same thing.
Yeah, so I'm like, Daddy, what do we do? And he goes, go get the jigsaw, put the metal cutting blade in it. And he takes the old radio out. We cut a square into the metal radio, because this is before plastic came out. Put this thing in there, put the speakers in the door, and he goes, turns the volume to like 15. He goes, that's as loud as it should ever be in here. And I'm like, you're not in the truck. What do you don't know how loud it should be in this truck. 6 months later, it's my birthday. I know we're on Christmas, but this is the importance of this truck. 6 months later, it's my birthday. Show up at his house. Happy birthday, kid. I'm like, oh, you remembered. He goes, nope, I didn't. But 2 weeks ago, I knew your birthday was coming up at some point. It's under that tarp. Got a big old trailer, big tarp on there. Flip the tarp over. Daddy, the only thing under here is a tire. He goes, you may not realize this, but that tire don't fit anything I own. Goes to your truck, because you don't have a spare tire. Then my stepmom comes out, hands me $60, and she goes, you're going to need this at some point. I don't care what you do with it, but that's your birthday money. That night, hydroplaned, hit a curb, got a flat tire, had to spend $30 to get a flat jack, then $30 to buy a new rim and tire because I hydroplaned and busted the other tire. I had never had a flat tire in that stupid truck till that moment. And so, like I said, the truck was a heap. I blew the motor in it within, 3 months. Transmission ended up having to get replaced. Like, it was a huge heap of junk. But it was one of the building blocks of my mechanical knowledge that I know how to replace an engine. I know how to replace a transmission. I know how to, fix this or whatever. The numerous accidents I got in that truck, I'm unscathed because that truck was a tank. And we're talking in 2000s when I'm driving this thing, 02, 03, and plastic vehicles were a big thing. They're not even as big as they are now, Dude, I ran that truck into so much stuff.
Right.
And so it's...
Now, so with the older truck, I'm assuming you had to do something with oil. So that's going to bring me to the next question.
Yeah.
All right. Why did the cat put oil on the mouse?
Why, Mike?
Because it squeaked. The whole story was just a setup, a joke.
Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, Brittany. Remember, Coffee&theBull, yahoo.com. Let us know how much you hate her jokes.
These are Mike's jokes. Don't tie me to those. These are not my jokes.
So, guys, we want to say thank y'all for taking a moment out of your day, listening to us. We're just telling some Christmas stories, just kind of enjoying it, having a good time. This is a week you're going to be seeing family members you normally don't see all year. You're going to be taking a moment,
Not traveling.
and just enjoying.
Some I do want to touch on before we pop off. This is a rough time of year for a lot of men, and we deal with this day in and day out during this month specifically because there's a lot of pressure on dads. We go year round at work. We try to save up, and it's always around this time of year that we start to go, you know what, I don't need to pay this bill or this bill. I want to make sure I do this or this or this, and this is the time of year where dads start to feel like the failures,
Inadequate.
and inadequate, and so I want you guys to take away 2 things from this. One of them being that your presence is the present that, and I know that sounds cliche, that's what's going to be the memory for them. Because, like we've said, we can't remember the presents we got as kids.
Right.
I remember Daddy showing up, and that's a memory that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Is that man jump through the hoops to be there for that Christmas. Number one, be present. Be there present as, put a bow on yourself and lay under the tree if you got to. Be present for them, but also don't let the stressors of this holiday and the weight of this holiday put you in that headspace to say, I don't need to be here anymore. Because in all reality, you check out, you destroy that holiday. You destroy that magic. And don't let it get you to that point. And so as much as you're enjoying the holiday, for those of you that are enjoying it, those of you that aren't enjoying it, if you get into that boat and you can't get a hold of a friend or whatever, please dial 988 and stop yourself before you check out and you can't come back from it, because you can always come back. There's no point in this life that you can't undo your wrongdoings. So that's to end it on a serious note, on a happier place. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody had a great time. New Year's is around the corner, where we can all laugh at all the idiots that get on Facebook and say, it's the new year, new me, I'm going to go to the gym. I'll tell you where I'm not going to go. Never. It's the gym. I don't even like going to calls at the gym.
And on that note, to dilute.
Let's repeat.